So, yeah, I was talking about the motivation to actually do adversarial attacks in autonomous vehicles, because autonomous vehicles and drones, self-driving vehicles, because this is where the actual harm is, where any misclassification, any fooling will cause real-world harm to people and to the society. So, the attack that I worked on, basically, most of the adversarial attacks which tried to fool the neural networks earlier. So it is not like I came up with this term of adversarial attacks. So it was recently gaining interest, and people tried to fool the convolutional neural networks, especially the algorithms in machine learning and deep learning. But one main issue was, when they were trying to identify, they were trying to fool it in such a way that they tried to add some noise to the vehicles. As you can see here, these patches. These patches. So these patches generally, they try to add this patch to on the objects in the autonomous vehicle camera. So this camera is what the Tesla sees, and on these cameras they add these patches. But these patches, what they try to say is, it shows that this car is a cat, or this car is a dog, or this car is a sofa. So the main issue with this is, like in 2020 to 2021, especially last couple of years, fooling this way is useless, because what happened was, people were very quick to understand that obviously a sofa will not be in the middle of a road, right? So if you're trying to fool by saying this car is a sofa, or this car which has a big radius as a cat or a dog, there were very simple rules these cars like Tesla used, where they just had a very simple rule: if the radius or the size of the object is very big, it cannot be these things. It cannot be these things. It cannot be a cat, dog, sofa. So this made a lot of adversarial attacks ineffective. So it made these attacks very, very useless, because they were detecting but misclassifying, but misclassification was easily dealt with simple rules. Now, I introduced an attack in such a way that the algorithm will not even detect anything. It just shows that there is nothing there. So to do that, first we have to identify how to do that, because if it detects anything, there are other sensors in these autonomous vehicles to verify. So if the RGB of a cat is different, there is LiDAR also, because the LiDAR image or the radar image of a cat, a heat map of a cat, is completely different to a car. So there were other verification systems in place to actually overcome. So if you don't even detect it, it will not even go to the heat detection sensor or the other sensors, because I'm showing it as nothing detected. So if nothing is detected, it will not verify it. You understand where the issue is now in the autonomous vehicles. So this sequence, when they try to go through detecting something and verifying, if it doesn't detect, the algorithm is failing there itself. So that is what I was trying to attack on, to show that I can even introduce an attack even before you go to the other sensors. So I tried to find this filter through deep learning algorithms. There are many deep learning algorithms, but DeepFool is the first, to 2016, DeepFool, which tried to introduce filters in such a way to attack on autonomous vehicles. So as I already discussed, public safety hazard and This renders fallback systems like depth estimation, heat maps, radars, very ineffective.
How was the kernel designed?
How is that?
How was the kernel designed for the previous chemistry?
This kernel. So this kernel is designed through other vehicles, other objects in the traffic. So these filters are extracted from not this car. So if I'm trying to attack a car, I try to get these filters, extract features, especially say deep convolutional features like AlexNet is one such CNN feature, or residual networks, ResNet. I try to extract these features of not this object. So when I try to attack it, it will have filters which do not have car. So that is how these filters are generated, this noise is generated. And then I average them out. You average them out as very low pixel values. So what happens is, when you try to reduce these values or approximate to a very low value, it is unable to detect when you actually multiply this image over this whole image. It will still look like this, but this noise is spread out. It will not detect it. But that is the key. So whatever you are trying to attack, that should not be there in the filters. That is a main point which we are doing. Yeah. Again, this is another example where people have tried. So I think you asked how to attack externally. So what people did was, they took some stickers. They know these stickers work through algorithms. They found out these patches work with certain color in certain places. So they put these pink spots in certain places on a real world traffic sign. Like in an actual, on the traffic sign, they put these stickers in certain places. And it failed. The self-driving car failed. It has no information about, it didn't touch the car. We just put stickers on the signal. And the algorithm failed. So you see, so now this is the difference. When you know the algorithm and try to change the algorithm, it's called a white box attack. White box attack. So you know the algorithm architecture and you're trying to attack it. If you don't know what algorithm these Tesla cars are using, we do know, but if you don't know, it's called a black box attack. When you try to attack externally, when you try to put patches externally. You wanted to? Did you take a page? Yeah, so as I discussed, the main issue when they were trying to introduce these patches was, I talked about filters earlier, where people were trying to create the same filters for different sizes of objects. This same issue was happening in adversarial attacks also. They were unable to make these patches different sizes based on different object sizes, different objects. They made the same size. Again, the lighting, they made the same lighting. This was the state of the art when I started working. So this is not feasible. This, like, algorithms were easily verified. Tesla, especially there is a simulator Tesla uses, which is open source, called Carla. So Carla is something, car simulator, which people use to test how effective or robust their system is. So that was detecting this as an attack or this as a false attack. So what I proposed was, first, now we come to the paper. So basically how to actually attack by completely vanishing the algorithm. So this is basically what I call as a vanishing attack, vanishing adversarial attack, where the object will completely vanish from even the detector, so that it doesn't even go to the other sensors. And this was done by first, this is all we have went through earlier. We go through the input images, we do the convolution, and after all the images we get the convolution layers, we get the fully connected layer. feature map. I talked about feature map earlier. So that is the final image that we get. If you don't remember, I can go back maybe to remind once. Feature map. So after feature map, in object detection, there is something called as a bounding box. So this is basically the object that you are trying to detect. So this is the most maximum boundary rectangle that you can draw. So generally in object detection, and similarly, I'm just saying it in an image perspective, but this can also be explained in a signal. There are some, you can put some boundaries on signals, right? Like a certain duration or periods in signals. So the same concept can be applied there too. So this is basically I'm trying to explain through image, but the same concept, same formula can be applied to other signals also. So in images there is something called as a bounding box. So this bounding box is generally, let's say this is a car, image of a car. Now after this, we generate these patches. Now as I explained earlier, the patches are generated for different classes, and I generate basically, I actually don't touch other classes. I try to use the same class. Generally people have did not tried or experimented as much as trying to attack with the same class. So when you actually don't use other classes in the data set or other objects, you can actually generate much better noise. You can use the attack class, but even without using the car image, when you do not give certain rules to the noises or generating these patches, you can actually generate much better patches. And if you see it, the main difference is it is different sizes. And the earlier issue was the patches were of same size. So this was done based on these bounding boxes. So what I did was I found out the average bounding box of all the objects, and converting this to a signal, there will be an approximate signal for every kind of, you can find the approximate signal, right? There is a summary of a signal that you can find, a frequency per se, an example. So in similar way, I found out these bounding boxes of all the other classes of all the objects. So from the data set, I found out what the general rectangle of a cat is, what a general rectangle of a truck is, of a person is. Now based on that, I generated these patches, so that now I only put patches in such a way that the based on the object, the patch is placed on that image. And similarly, this is how it looks. I'll show you exactly how it looks. So these are the parameters. So generally in a convolutional neural network, especially when it's training, there is something called as a loss. I think everyone knows what loss is. So a loss at the end of a training, you try to minimize the loss. And in deep learning especially, there are, for object detection, there are three types of losses. The loss of bounding box, the bounding box that I showed you, the loss of that, and loss of existence. So this is a parameter that I focused on. I tried to focus only on this parameter. So there is a parameter where it shows how much accuracy, or if the object is there or not in that frame. So this is what I focused on, loss of existence, and then loss of class, which class it is. So similarly, when you pi is the projection. When you project this loss on, this is the convolution equation I described earlier, and this is the basically something called as back propagation. So back propagation is something. Yeah, I'll explain through this. Generally in the machine learning, what happens is, what is it? Is it okay? Okay. 1 minute. So in this, in machine learning, what happens is generally, there is only forward propagation. The values are moving forward. So I'm getting somewhere. Now it's better. I think in the morning it was now it's not. Yeah. So what is back propagation, which I told earlier? So generally machine learning algorithms or signal processing, general fundamental algorithms, the values are only moving forward. So what I mean by that, so when you write like algorithm, when you write a formula, let's say multiplication of an algorithm, every value is moving through steps. It is going gradually to the end. You're not coming back again. You just go to the end and say what the solution is and check. That's it. But what if you want to change the parameters in between? That is another difference between machine learning and deep learning. In deep learning, there is something called as back propagation, where you can come back and edit the values. That's how filters are improved. That's how filters are made. You find better filters through this back propagation. One famous back propagation algorithm that everyone has to know is gradient descent. So gradient descent generally it is used in image processing, even many other very basic processing algorithm, but it is also effective in images and videos. So yeah. So, as I discussed, this is how generally back propagation. So this is basically you back propagate and then you project it. So this was helpful in actually vanishing. If you see, this seems very simple. Okay, you're just making the filters and then applying it on patches, but you cannot actually find this unless you understand the domain of what you're trying to do. So even if in the problems, there are many problems. So even in many of the problems that you try to solve, choose problems in such a way that you can actually find solutions. And okay, I generated an attack. I proposed an attack to vanish the objects. Okay, now should you just say that, like, let's say you made a bomb and that's it. Will you sit down? No. I made corona, let's say. I made a COVID and just spread it into the people. You should also be able to find a solution. So there are generally two types to tackle these adversarial problems or adversarial attacks. So one such defense is called adversarial defense training. So it is very simple. This is the most basic form of training your algorithm or training your convolutional network for any domain, be it signals, be it images, videos, text, like ChatGPT, anything, it doesn't matter. You train the data with the noise itself. So this is the most basic form of protecting your algorithm. So when the noise is actually introduced later, your algorithm will be ready for it and detect that this is not, there is some attack happening, because it will show it in the loss. It will show maximum loss when you train with adversarial samples itself. So you train with the attack samples is what I'm trying to say. You generate some attack images, train with those attack images. So this is adversarial defense training. This is the most basic form of defense against these attacks.
We then work only for this data set which is only for taken for the training purpose, or it might also incorporate for any other adversary signal also.
It could be. So one such example is medical data. Traffic, generating adversarial in traffic will affect for medical data also. So that is one example in between domain. But for other signals also you can fine tune.
Yeah, but if the attack is other than the training data,
Right.
so it is
Right.
training data, the attack is other from that,
Right.
then will that detect that, or will that again be as an attack itself?
It will detect it, but only as far as the loss is concerned. It again, it is, we cannot be 100% sure, but by theory it should not detect, but it might. Generally it shouldn't, theoretically, because we are
So
not
you
trained.
tested such conditions, and what was the accuracy?
I've done. So I'll show the accuracy later. And this adversarial defense is what I propose, because the earlier one, it was not protecting against my vanishing attack. The reason was, again, my attack was happening at the bounding box level, because I'm just saying that box is not there, that object is not there. So this was happening at the input level. So when you're training with the noise, it still doesn't matter about the bounding box generated. So the earlier defense which I mentioned was not working for my proposed method. So then I proposed a novel defense where I generated an adversarial feature map, because now you actually have bounding boxes involved. So these bounding boxes now, based on this feature map, will actually have different feature maps for different classes. So by including this feature map, now it is able to defend to a certain extent against my attack, but it is still very bad, but I'll show you the comparison later. So what I'm trying to say is, you should not just try to like propose something or do something and just stop there. See how you can find solutions to it. If you're generating some algorithm, find the limitations and try to solve those limitations. Because every paper you read, I'm pretty sure you will find at the end of these papers, there are limitations. They will talk about the limitations. So that is where you can add new work. That is where you have to be inspired to focus on. Because only trying to solve those problems, solve those limitations, that you can solve these kinds of cases. And then you will actually have some work, some research work, something. That is how we need to think. So, yeah, this is an example of how it looks. So, YOLO V3 it was when I was working state-of-the-art object detector. Even now, I think there's YOLO V5, YOLO V6 now. This is basically an convolutional object detector deep learning algorithm to detect objects, what objects there are. So, if you see here, this was the YOLO V3 detections. Again, my patches are different. And if you see here, I only attacked the car. So, the advantage of vanishing attack is, I will not touch other classes, because generally what adversarial attacks do is, they affect other classes. So, you asked about data set, but if we think about classes also, generally what happens is an adversarial attack on the image, it tries to reduce the accuracy of all other classes also. So other classes go down, but in this case, since I did not touch other classes to introduce the noise, it still showed other classes at 95%, and the Tesla car thinks everything is alright because it doesn't see the accuracy going down of other classes. But car is 0. There is nothing for car. So this is how it looks. A patch on the image, that's it. The algorithm fails. Again, this might be CSC specific or image specific, but you might try to think it in signals also. This patch can be anything. This patch can be just some noise sample or a noise sequence introduced into a certain bit signal. Anything. So generally these are the data sets. They generally look like this. The cars have their pixel values showing this is a car. This pixel is a car in the image. This pixel is a traffic cone. Generally there are around 100k images, 100,000 images to train another data set. So you can see how noisy and real world this is generally. That is why trying to work on these real world problems will show you how ineffective the general algorithms are, because on this noisy data, try to apply your algorithms that you have learned. You will see how bad they perform when actual noise is involved, like like this background, different background. A general support vector machine fails to identify these features. So now I just told you everything through images. Okay, we find these, there is a difference through human eye, but any problem that you try to solve, you need to find what are called as metrics. So these metrics, again, in any research paper that you read, you will find something called as metrics. So these metrics show through numbers what is happening basically. Analysis, this is called as a quantitative analysis, basically a quantitative analysis of any problem that you are trying to solve. It needs to be shown in metrics. So every problem has different metrics. So in signal processing, I don't know specifically what metrics they use, but in images, especially for this, they use something called as attack success rate. It basically says how many images that you classified correctly or classified wrongly in our case, because we try to fool it. Similar with map degradation, mean average precision. So this is for this problem, but generally for any problem, try to find the metrics, because that is what you are trying to achieve. In my case, I have to focus a lot on visual also, because it is not text data that I am working on. Since I am working on image data in deep learning, image and videos, I have to show visual results also. But if you don't have visual results, you can focus on the analysis part. So again, these are different types of object detectors that I did my attack on. So this is the slide which I wanted to show. So what happens when out of data comes in, out of data set, images from out of data set are introduced as to find out the attack success rate on these two data sets. So when I did adversarial training, you can see that the attack success rate reduced by 20%. So I would say for 20% it is correct. So it only worked for 20%. After that it failed again. And with distillation till 60%. So you can see the attack was actually 86, but my defense is 24. But in real world, this value needs to be less than